Everybody, RMJ Movie Reviews Incorporated back with another Black History Month movie review. Right now I'm going to be talking about the 1985 classic, The Last Dragon, starring one-hit wonder Taimak and Vanity, and a slew of other character actors and TV stars who at the time weren't stars, but they later on down the line became stars, but they started in this film. Let me start off right off the bat by saying that The Last Dragon is a classic, I think, for most black audience members, and I remember as a movie that me and my cousins used to watch repeatedly when I was a kid. I mean, repeatedly. I remember when my parents moved out of Cleveland Heights and they moved into a little city in Cleveland, like a suburb called Orange Village, which in the 1980s, Orange Village was really like this big time place. Now it's kind of, at least to me, from my eyes, it's kind of meh. But, you know, in 1986, Orange Village was like top of the line. And it was a ranch style house that they used to live in, which looks like crap now because the people who own it, but that's a whole nother story. And me and my cousins, and every time we would have like family functions or Thanksgiving or like my cousins, my three other cousins would be invited over, and we would watch movies in the basement, VHS tapes in the basement. And the choices we always watched repeatedly over and over again was we watched The Last Dragon, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Rocky IV. We watched those movies repeatedly over and over. We watched those movies so much that I think we almost wore out the VHS tapes. We watched those movies so much. And The Last Dragon, I know this movie like the back of my hand. I mean, I mean, there's times where I haven't seen the movie for like years and years and years, and I still remember it. I mean, if you say a quote from that movie, I mean, it's a childhood classic. It holds a special place in my heart from my childhood. And anytime I watch that film, it always takes me back to being at, I can't remember what the address is, but on Harvard Road in Orange Village, and me and my cousins watching that movie. So anytime I see The Last Dragon, I'm transported back to, you know, the mid, late 80s, watching that movie in the basement of my parents' house in Orange Village. But, I'll just go give a quick synopsis. There's a young karate student named Bruce. His name is Leroy Green, but he kind of gets the nickname of Bruce Leroy because he's infatuated by Bruce Lee, which this is the 80s, so Bruce Lee hadn't been dead that long when this movie was made. You know, now it's 2014, so like at least it's kind of amazing to me. Like my nephew, who's 18. You know, he doesn't even give respect to Bruce Lee. Chuck Norris is in now, which any one of us who are 30s and up, we know damn well that at that time, if anybody was to say Chuck Norris was better than Bruce Lee, they would probably get the spit smacked out of their mouth. You know, but, you know, Bruce Lee's been dead for so long, you know. At least I was happy to have grown up in the 80s and been raised on Bruce Lee's movies, because at that time he hadn't been dead that long. I mean, he'd been dead, I think, at least maybe 15 years or something like that. By the time I got hip to him, he'd been dead 13 or 15 years, but he still hadn't been, you know, gone as long as he has been now. You know, but you know, the kids of this generation, they don't really give respect to Bruce Lee. But this movie pays heavy reverence to Bruce Lee. But either way, Leroy Green is infatuated by Bruce Lee, and he wants to find the master. So what really, the master and the glow, what they call it in the movie, is a metaphor for just gaining self-confidence. That's all it is, because Leroy is a spectacular karate student. He listens to his master, which, you know, is kind of a little bit disturbing, seeing that a black kid listens to his master. A little bit disturbing on that part, but you guys can read between the lines when I say that. But either way, Leroy Green is on a quest to find his self-confidence. That's really what the movie is. And there's a shogun this movie's funny. A shogun of Harlem named Shonuff, who is a 6'6" dark skinned brother who has a really bad perm, and he wears shoulder pads and a cape, and he wears these kind of sunglasses that aren't really sunglasses. They have slits in them. It's typical 80s stuff. This movie is a goofy comic book, and it's so much fun. Even watching it now, I still really enjoy the movie. But the Shogun of Harlem wants to keep his reputation because he feels like people are starting to give more respect to Leroy Green, and then there's this kind of psychotic arcade owner named Eddie Arcadian, and he kind of has a girlfriend who, you know, of course, looks like Cyndi Lauper from, you know, the Goonies Are Good Enough, you know, good enough, you know. I probably think this movie was 1985, so she's probably modeled. The actress is playing something that's modeled after Cyndi Lauper, at least the way Cyndi Lauper looked at that time in 1985. And basically, he wants to muscle Vanity because Vanity is this popular singer who has this television series. And pretty much that's the story of The Last Dragon. And, you know, cross paths, you know, Leroy rescues, I think her name is Laura Charles in the movie. And then Eddie Arcadian hooks up with Sho'nuff. And then all kinds of fun, goofy stuff ensues. This movie was actually a film that was Berry Gordy from Motown actually was executive producer on this movie. So, you know, of course, this is 1985, so you can see the heavy MTV inspiration. There's a lot of, I think this entire soundtrack is Motown artists. You know, obviously Vanity is on that, and I think every DeBarge, you know, which I did not realize that DeBarge. I used to always think that they were Hispanic, you know, because the movie takes place in New York. I thought they were Puerto Rican, but they're actually biracial. Their father was actually white and their mother was black, so a little bit of trivia there. But DeBarge is on the soundtrack, and there's a whole bunch of really goofy, fun 80s songs. And like I was saying before, this thing's a comic book. You know, if you have a 6'6" black man who says he's the Shogun of Harlem and he has gigantic shoulder pads and a cape, you know, and an evil arcade owner who has a girlfriend who looks like Cyndi Lauper, and she sings a song that says test drive, ooh, ooh, then you know this movie is complete goofball fun. It's completely tongue-in-cheek. It is in a bizarre reality, and even as far as the cinematography is, it's very colorful. There's a lot of kind of comic booky kind of colors, and it's just goofy fun. And what I really love about it is how everybody in the movie is in on the joke. Everybody is in on the joke that this is a goofy piece of fun cinema. Everybody plays their goofiness to the T. I think the only person who plays it straight would be Taimak, who plays Leroy. But then again, to my understanding, he wasn't an actor. He was a real martial artist, and he was a young kid. I think he was only 21 or 20 or something like that when he made the movie. So he's the only one who really kind of plays it, you know, straight arrow. Even Vanity, you know, who wasn't really the most strongest actress, she's beautiful, but even she kind of plays it kind of a little bit goofy too. So of course the standout performances in the movie is probably 4 actors. Well, actually, I'm not even gonna say 4. There's about really a lot. Majority of the cast just plays it really good. I'm gonna name off, of course, Julius Curry, who he actually passed away. He's no longer with us, but he plays Sho'nuff. He plays Sho'nuff with goofy glee. You know, get him, girls. See if you can get a rise out of this limp wimp. I mean, he plays it so cartoonishly evil that it's phenomenal. The actress, I don't know her name, who plays Eddie Arcadian's girlfriend, who's supposed to look like Cyndi Lauper, she is fantastic. She plays the ditzy, goofy girl with a heart to a T. And she really strikes that balance of goofy, dumb girl, but also she's kind of hip to what's going on, and she has a heart too. She plays it really good. The guy who plays Leroy's little brother, who Leroy's little brother. Upon rewatching this movie, the kid's really a dick. I mean, he's a dick to the T, man. He's really an a-hole. You know, it's not till the end of the movie till his character kind of turns and redeems himself, but he's really mean to his older brother. And you know, of course, there's two Cosby Show cameos in this film, which I think the Cosby Show was already on when this movie came out. I was like only 5 when this movie came out, so of course I remember watching the Cosby Show when it was on, but you know, I obviously didn't pay attention to reviews and box office numbers and dates, so somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But you know, Keisha Parham Knight, who was the original child star of the Cosby Show, Rudy, she makes an appearance as Leroy's little sister. Actually, Cockroach, who was in I think the first 4 seasons of the Cosby Show, he's actually in this movie, but he's only an extra, or he might have had a part that was cut or something, who knows, but he's in the background. I just now actually caught that when I rewatched it. I said, there's Cockroach in the background, but he's in there. You know, he plays his role. Leroy's parents, yeah, classic black actors. They've been in a lot of stuff. They play their roles really good. The other guy I like is Eddie, who's he's a goofy karate student in Leroy's karate school. He's an Asian guy, and he plays his role he's so just a fun, goofy kid, you know, who kind of can't fight. He wants to master the art of fighting without fighting, because this is the 80s, and this was when like karate movies were in, and Asian cinema and all that stuff. I remember me and my older brother, we used to always watch like Bruce Lee movies and Jackie Chan movies, and you know, this is the 80s VHS time, so we used to watch all those movies, and we had the little cheesy karate black shoes with the little white soles. Yes, I had a pair of those karate shoes, and I used to think I was a karate guy because I had those shoes. But his whole thing is that, you know, because this is the era of karate films, that he can be an intimidating Asian guy without actually having to fight people. And actually, the joke is that Eddie can't fight, but by the end of the movie, his character turns and he can fight. So it's just such a fun, silly movie. You got the combination of everybody playing it tongue-in-cheek. You got the goofy, silly plot. You got the great Motown music, and then you got the cartoonish visuals. It's fun from top to bottom. It is harmless, goofy, fun. I love The Last Dragon. I always have. Every single time I watch it, it holds a very special place in my heart when I watch the film. The fight scenes are very well done. I didn't realize that Ernie Reyes Jr., who's actually in a direct movie called Surf Ninjas that I'm pretty sure a lot of you have forgotten about. He was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. He was in The Rundown with The Rock. You know, he was an older, you know, he was in his 20s then, I think. But he was actually on a show back in the 80s that I used to watch until it got canceled. A show called, I can't remember if it was called Sidekicks or Sidekick. I think it was called Sidekicks. But he's the little Asian boy in The Last Dragon. He had that TV show called Sidekicks. You can find it on YouTube. Just put in Ernie Reyes Jr. Sidekicks. I used to love Ernie Reyes Jr. when I was a kid. But, you know, excuse me, he actually did some of the choreography for this film. So, and you know, obviously when you see him in The Rundown, I mean, the guy has skills. You know, I don't know what else he's done, but I've seen him in some films. But, you know, he's in it, so that's, you know, brings back a little nostalgia. It's just a fun movie. I just love it. I always love the musical montages in it. You know, you've got the DeBarge montage, which I think the DeBarge montage is probably my favorite one in the film. Because when they show that DeBarge video, the Rhythm of the Night, and everybody's got their colors and their dance, when I see that scene in the movie, I can almost literally transport back to being 6 or 7 years old and smelling popcorn and potato chips, as my dad would bring down popcorn and potato chips for us, or we'd play, you know, if my cousins see this, you know, when we used to play the Elton John pinball machine that was in the basement, it brings back so many warm memories for me when I watch this film, and I really love this film a lot. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. The action in it is, I really like the fights are very well done. I didn't realize from listening to the commentary track that the director said There is a commentary track for this DVD, which I am happy about, so you can learn things about filmmaking and all that. But, you know, this very much was kind of linked with kind of the New Jack City thing, where it was very much, you know, you push the soundtrack, you promote the movie kind of thing. Which, that's what's great about the 80s and the 90s, is the merging of the music and the film and just the visuals. That, I think that's what's the beauty of the art of filmmaking, you know. You can hit some nice tunes that tap into people somewhere, then you give them some fun characters, and then you give them some beautiful colorful visuals, and, you know, bam, you got it. Trying to think where I was going with that. Kind of lost it. Yeah. The actor who played Shonuff, who passed away, he didn't know karate for real, but he fakes it really well. I don't know what else I can say. It's fun to look at all the cheesy 80s outfits, you know, because I remember the way my older sisters and brother used to dress. And I remember one time living in Cleveland, my sister took me up to her high school, the high school I graduated from, which was Cleveland Heights High, but this was when I was in elementary school. And or no, wait a minute. Yeah, I was in elementary school, and I think she was in high school. And she took me up to Cleveland Heights High School, which was terrifying to me because I was a little kid. And every single one of those people in that school looks like the teenagers in The Last Dragon, and they look like the teenagers in Lean On Me, you know, or even something about The Breakfast Club too. So it's always fun to see the 80s fashion. It's just a fun, nostalgic movie. It plays well even now. I haven't had a chance to really. I wanted to show it to you know, my good friends. I wanted to show it to their kids and see how they react to it. My nieces and nephews are all too old now. They're like 18 and stuff, so they're out of the little kid phase. But I think it's a fun movie. It plays very well. I love The Last Dragon. You guys out there who love The Last Dragon, give feedback from all your childhood memories of it. There's nothing else I can say. Great movie, great actors. They play it tongue-in-cheek. Great action. Great music. Fun flick. Too bad there was never a part 2, but I heard Taimak got a little, you know, kind of cocky there, and that movie never happened. But great flick. Heard they're talking about remaking it, and Rihanna's going to play the Vanity role. I don't know who's going to play the Bruce Leroy role, but what I'm going to say right now here on YouTube is just don't do it. Leave it alone. Make something original. And do not rape my childhood and millions of other people's childhood who grew up on it. Don't do it. Leave it alone. My Black History Month movie review next is going to be the chiller, the very shocking and frightening, terrifying movie that gave me almost nightmares. Candyman. See you guys soon. Subscribe to my channel. And let's talk about movies and talk about the good old days. Alright. Have a nice evening, folks.